Chin. Some greasy shit. You ain't got no better food, like some chicken wings, some baby back ribs, some fries or something?
Chinese food, no soul food here.
I didn't say nothing about no soul food. I said you got some better food. I don't want that greasy shit. How you gonna sell a big box of grease?
What's going on, guys? It's Abdullah from the Glucose Network here, bringing you another fucking video, another day in Adelaide. Now, shout out to my house in the background. This video about tracking macros. Should you track macros? Do I still track? People ask me all the time, do you still track macros? What do you think about if, you know, I'm not going to even talk about if it fits your macro. You're still fucking thinking about that, you're a shit cunt. There's plenty of other videos on that. But do I still track macros? Do I still recommend people track macros? What my stance is now on the whole tracking macro thing. Everyone knows who's been following me for a while, I was fucking the most precise macro tracker ever on the fucking planet. I fucking win, hands down, every fucking time. I used to take sauce with me, I used to weigh it at restaurants, I used to weigh everything. Weighed everything gram for gram. I used to track fucking gum. I used to track anything, bro. Anything I would so I'm pretty knowledgeable when it comes to tracking macros and what I think is the best thing when it comes to tracking macros. Tracking macros is all relative to where you're at. If you're trying to get leaner and you're not tracking macros, you're a dumb cunt. Oh, but this content, and this content, and this content, and this content. But the fact is, if you're not tracking your intake in some form of another, you are a shit cunt. And it's like going to fill your car up with gas and you just chuck a bit of gas in, you don't know how much you put in. No one does that. Your body's a fucking machine, okay? There's other things like, you know, thermogenic effect of food, your BMR, you know, NEAT, fucking how much activity your genetics come into it. But at the end of the day, you need to know what you're putting in. The goal of tracking macros is to eventually be able to not have to just with a pen and paper physically track your macros. As in, you should just be able to ballpark everything in your head. Okay, the difference between people who track their macros and not is like the difference between people who lift and don't lift. It's what separates the shit cunts from the people who actually look like they know what they're doing, or, you know, have some form of physical performance, athletic performance. People are like, oh my God, but what about 80-10-10 and all these raw vegans and high carb vegans? See, not everyone who watches my channel is a vegan. So I've got to make advice applicable for every fucking person. It's different when you're a fucking vegan, because most vegan food's so low in caloric density that you don't really have to think about it. You can eat fuckloads until you feel like you're gonna throw up, and chances are you're gonna eat at maintenance or below. I mean, you say you do low fat, high carb. Right there, you're already tracking your macros. You pick out foods that are high carbohydrate and low in fat. You're tracking your intake, but in an indirect way, not actually physically by pen and paper, but you are. You're tracking a percentage of your calories. To me, that's tracking macros. So I think if you're just getting started, track everything gram for gram for at least 1 fucking year. Then after then, you can ballpark everything in your head and you'll roughly know what your BMR is and how much you need. Tracking macros and all that shit, that's the ideal. That's the 100%. If you can do that stress-free, then fucking do it. Okay, but some cunts can't do that because it stresses them out too much, and they go from being 100% to 50%. So then if they just eyeball everything, they're at 85%, which makes them higher than 50%. So it's better for them. Okay, so you have to work with what you can handle. What my stance on tracking macros is you always should be tracking your intake in some form or another. Otherwise, you just look like a shit cunt. Some people have eating disorders, and they might not look like they have eating disorders, but they do. Okay, you don't have to look like you have an eating disorder to have an eating disorder. Okay, so some people just can't stop eating. They just keep eating and eating and eating, or they come from a past of restricting their calories hard. So when they start eating normally, they just binge and binge and binge. And sometimes people diet for 6-12 months or whatever, okay? And their metabolic rate drops a little bit, okay? But their hunger shoots up so much more. So when they're recovering from that, and when the calories go up, their metabolic rate comes back quicker than most people will tell you. It comes back quick. It comes back quick. But what you're left with is all the psychological effects of what that diet has entailed, okay? What that diet has done to you. So you're left with these psychological effects that take months and months. You know, if you diet for 2 years or you've been strict, it might take a fucking year and a half for them psychological effects to fade. The metabolism comes back to normal, thyroid comes back to normal, all the hormones come back to normal, but you have some insatiable appetite. It's like a mental hunger, not a physical hunger, because you'll get full and you keep wanting fucking eating. For some reason, you just can't shut off that hunger level. So you keep eating, and eventually it might take you, it takes forever, man. Trust me, if anyone's ever been lean before, if you're watching this and you've been lean before, you can attest to this, that your metabolism will be fine, you'll be eating decent calories, but you'll be so fucking hungry for so fucking long. It might take you half the time you dieted to get your hunger levels and your food focus back to the goal of that recovery period should be for you to not think about food no more. Think about living your life, think about doing other shit, think about getting out there and being active. And that's what you want to think about. But sometimes it takes fucking time because you have this crazy food focus where you're just some fat cunt on the couch watching Man vs. Food all fucking day. And once I almost bought Foxtel so I could watch that shit. That's how hungry I fucking was, you know. Or you'd be blending some cauliflower pizza base fucking some bizarre shit. You'd be a bizarre cunt eating some bizarre foods. Clips of the video are, do I think that tracking macros tracking your food intake, let's say, whether it be a percentage of your calories, like trying to eat low-fat, high-carb foods, or, you know, tracking gram for gram, do I think that is necessary, and do I think it's a good option? Fuck oath, I think it's a good option. I just think you need to find what you can pull off on the long term. You're going to get the results in the long term. So you need to find something that works out for you long term. Like if you've been tracking macros for a couple of years, you know, gram for gram on MyFitnessPal and shit, well man, try not using it. Try not using it and just estimating your head. You're always going to estimate in your head. Everyone estimates in their head, or everyone has a rough guide of what they eat. And if someone eats like 3 pizzas in the morning, you know, you'd have to be a dumb cunt to come home and eat another 3 pizzas. You know what I mean? It's fucking hella fat and shit. So you got to think about it. Don't put too much thought into it, but put enough thought necessary for the stage of where you're at on your fitness or athletic journey. Okay. So if you're preparing for a fight, if you're preparing for a bodybuilding show, if you're preparing for a powerlifting meet, you have to cut weight. You need to put fucking hella focus into that shit. Do extreme shit. You need extreme measures to reach them fucking goals. Okay, I'm not one of these cunts, you know, don't track your it's gonna fuck you up, it's gonna... Okay, that's an extreme shit, you need to go with extreme measures, okay? You need to do what you need to do to get the fucking job done every fucking time. If you're off season, if you're just chilling, you're trying to relax, you're trying to, you know, live a balanced life, don't really give a fuck about your body weight that much. Fluctuating body weight, you're meant to fluctuate body weight. Cunts are always like, Abdullah, you're so fucking fat. I'm like, what are you talking about, cunt? I have been on over 600 grams of carbs since fucking, 3 years. I don't know many cunts who've eaten 600 grams of carbs for over 3 years straight. I have not dieted in that fucking time at all, okay? My weight has fluctuated from my lowest weight to my highest weight about 7 kilos, okay? And at 6'1", that is fuck all. So my goal at that time was to have my weight fluctuate between them numbers, not let it go over, not let it get under, and have a high calorie intake. Worked my way up to numbers that I fucking thrived on and which I thrive on now, and I don't have to really worry about it now. I don't really have to worry about tracking macros that now. My appetite, now I know from tracking macros, energy output is relative usually to my appetite. So if it's appetite, I will maintain weight. If I go beyond it, I'll probably put on a bit of weight. Now that I know from doing a lot of exercise and tracking my macros, I know if I do a lot of exercise, my appetite's not there. So I kind of have to track a bit more and put more food in than I'm really comfortable with. Otherwise I'll lose weight. And if I want to lose weight, that's fine. I don't give a fuck. Do you know what I mean? So another long video from me. Today, you got to do what the fuck you want to do. Okay, I can't sit here and tell you fucking you should do this, you should do this. All I can do is give you advice, and what I've seen work with the vast majority of people is that tracking macros at the end of the day, or tracking your calories, or tracking your intake, or just having a rough fucking idea of what you intake is better than fucking not giving a fuck at all. So otherwise you'll just be a skinny fat cunt. You'll just look like shit. You'll get too thin, or you'll get too fat, and you'll just look like shit. That's the best way to approach it, okay? And it might be via MyFitnessPal. It might be by just checking up in your mind on what you're eating. It might be just by, like, you know, just food selection. If you want to eat a majority of a low-fat, high-carbohydrate diet, you might just have food selection choices. That's still tracking macros. But that's the way you might do it. So there's so many different ways to do it. You just need to find the one that works best for you. For all the people out there saying that I'm not sponsored by Sprite, I am fucking sponsored by Sprite. Can't say I'm sponsored by GMO, Monsanto and shit. No, I'm not sponsored by them. I'm sponsored by Sprite. That link in the description code, it still fucking applies. Fat Cunt Abdullah Muslim Sprite 15. In caps, of course, otherwise I don't get my money. I'm gonna be back in America in fucking 3 to 4 weeks, okay? And I started off in San Francisco. Shout outs to fucking Danny Keen, like, shout outs to all the Gucci models out there doing it tough. Shout outs to Danny, aka Whisper King, filming hella fucking video, traveling around, doing my shit. Let us know what you want to see. Cooking with Abdullah coming this week. More reaction videos coming this week. I might drop a training video in there this week. More lifestyle motivation tips coming this week. That's it, mate. You know what they say? Happy Ramadan. I'll see you in the next video. That's Abdullah from the Glucose Network.